Sour is also known as Sound Mastery.
There's some episodes where we're like coming right up to it, where we're like, "What are we talking about?" There ain't been news in a while. I haven't. We've been busy with life stuff, and printing hasn't happened, and
Mm.
we're just like really struggling to get like enough stuff to entertain y'all for a little bit. This ain't one of them weeks.
And this is not one of those weeks.
This is one of them weeks when we got way too much to talk about.
Indeed.
Way too much. So this is going to be a very newsy focused episodes. But before we jump into all the news, because Elegoo's got new printers,
Mm-hmm.
plural, sales are going wild. There's really cool Kickstarter stuff happening. There's some really cool news happening in the 3D printing space. There's just been, all in all, a lot of fun things to keep us busy. But before we talk about any of that, what have you been up to, Kristen?
Well, uh, D&D stuff. But a lot of different things. First off, I picked up the Glare Beast from
The Clear Beast.
our Arc Villain did a little weird mini frontier that's like a super cool pumpkin beholder.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gonna like reprise this old pumpkin monster situation
Mm-hmm.
in my Halloween. I had a whole bunch of Halloween games. I did like day
Mm-hmm.
before Halloween pickup game. I did day of Halloween. I did all these different ones, and then I did a Day of the Dead game, and it
Mm-hmm.
was just like Halloween bonanza of D&D last week. And so I had so much of that stuff, but I tried to do that print, and I did a bad thing.
Oh no, what did you do?
I was using pre-supports, and
Yay!
usually pre-supports have been pretty good. But
Yes.
one thing I have found,
Uh-huh.
mirroring my pre-supports sometimes is bad.
I am so confused by that.
I
Because
don't know what it is.
I've never had mirroring not print perfectly.
Yeah, that mirroring pre-supports has been at least involved. Now, maybe it was something else. I did mention that my screen protector was a little speckled. It was a little dirty.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that needs to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so my Glare Beast that I was all excited to like panic paint, because this is me, right? Thursday
This is
night.
the glare beast, not the glitter beast.
No, Glare Beast. It's
Okay.
like
I
eyes, because
I
it's
was
a
thinking of a completely different monster.
I mean, it's totally not a beholder. It's a beholder that's a pumpkin. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
super cool though. But yeah, so I prepped everything. Saw that Thursday night. I'm like, this looks cool. I'm gonna back it. I get the thing. I get the file. I go up. I set up the print job. I go work, and I play a different D&D game at night because I play lots of D&D.
Yeah, you've got way
And,
too many D&D games.
and I go up there Saturday morning after going and working, and I get there, and it's like, I'm gonna peel it off and cure it and do the whole thing. Nah, just mess,
Nah.
disaster. So that sucked. And I think it was something I did, right? I think it was mirroring. Probably it might have been the dirty screen tear. I don't know, but it that does seem to be involved in many of my fails. Oddly enough, if I mirror and then do my own supports, I never
Mhm.
have problems. So
Okay.
probably should have just done that, but I
So
didn't. I was being
question.
lazy.
Are
Yes.
you using the STL baked supports or are you using Lachi supports?
STO.
Okay. That makes it even less likely that it should be a problem.
I don't know.
I don't know either. You
Should have been plug and
confusing
play,
me.
right?
Maybe try the Lachi supports and see if that happens because those are spontaneously generated every time you slice.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure, but I did that, and I was using Cheeto Box. I don't know if it's a
Mm-hmm.
Cheeto Box thing. And I was using the new version too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, I did that
Maybe.
and was freaked out. So what I instead did is
Mm-hmm.
I went back and looked into the reaches of the gray piles.
The gray piles, like
I have
actual physical minis.
no of the printed stuff. I got super excited about when it came out, and especially when
Mm-hmm.
I was first like
Mm-hmm.
experimenting with resin combinations and doing all these things. I have a lot of unpainted stuff still, and
Right.
so I went back and grabbed some angels and some other stuff from some other games and made these nightmare angels. I think I
Mm-hmm.
sent you a picture of them. I don't know, but anyway,
Yeah,
they,
yeah, they're
they
really
have like
cool.
three
Like,
faces and they're
yeah,
pretty creepy
and
looking.
you're doing the Dana Howe blending.
I did, and I was super excited by it. They're very different, and they have like screaming souls trapped in their swords, and they're clearly like angels that are like doing bad things or hurting bad people. I don't know, but I ended up painting those. Ended up painting You already saw my big snake, right? I showed off the big snake,
Yes, you
right?
showed me the big snake. Big snake's great.
Yeah, the big snake. I think I hit it because this was
Mhm,
also in my Halloween game. I don't know if you're listening to this. You're missing this big green.
mhm,
He is a gargantuan. I think in D&D terms, it's
mhm,
from Mini Monster Mayhem. It's a fantastic model. It's supposed to be an ice snake, but I made it a big psychic nightmare snake. Because one of the characters had like this big like phobia thing from her backstory at the very beginning of the game.
mhm,
So I did nightmares and then reprised all the bad guys they'd fought from like the beginning of the campaign because I'm at like the 20th level end of campaign arc for these 3 games
mhm,
because I have 2 alternating Monday games and a Wednesday game. So it was like
mhm.
big, huge D&D finale energy going on.
Nice.
So that was that. And yeah, so I painted up a bunch of stuff that had been neglected, and then I am avoiding the fact that I have a big mess in a resin tank that I need to deal with.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like I found that resin tank messes are not terrible. You just run the cleaning function on your printer,
Mm-hmm.
and then you do the little the use support trick.
Yep. Yep. And you peel off the nightmare with the support.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then you like line the edge of it with paper towel because I'm clumsy, and then you
Yes.
pull it out.
You pull it out. And yeah, I'm also probably gonna reset my resin too. Like 'cause sometimes I'll pull it out and just leave the resin like flowing around it as I pull it off.
Hmm.
But I'll probably like because I want to say this was the end of like a Frankenstein batch of mixed Anycubic slash
Oh my god, you
Sunlight.
use your drag piles?
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Well,
I don't trust that resin. I mean, I've been doing. I mean, like,
some of us don't get sent a whole case of test resin sometimes, buddy.
I'm sorry.
Anyway,
I'm sorry.
speaking of being
I need to
uh,
check my privilege.
cool things being sent to us, we have a bunch of cool people in chat.
We
We have
do have a
James
bunch
and
of cool people.
Alex and Alberto and Troy and
And Troy,
David.
and
We got
Troy
lots of
is
folks.
running a bolt action tournament this weekend. Way to go, Troy! Are you 3D printing anything cool with that?
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
And
That's cool.
evidently, the auto captions have us chatting about Cheeto resin, according to David.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cheeto resin. Oh, and Kingmaker. Oh no, ended in TBK. Session 2.
Oh goodness, this is
Sad
bad.
Panda. Alex, I hope they didn't weren't like, like bespoke characters tied to your whole setting.
Troy H, that test resin I can't talk about for reasons, and also that test resin is probably going back to the lab to get reformulated.
And of course, here I would be printing every last drop, even if it
Oh
was
yeah.
terrible.
But the resin I can chat about is the Vulcan resin that I got sent from Atlas, the support people. I printed this big freaking dragon in it.
That is an amazing dragon. I
This
do
is
wish his wings were a little whiter,
It does seem like he got tiny wings. But I
but
found out a really cool thing.
yeah,
So he has a saddle,
yeah,
and I printed this one, and
yeah,
this is the Titan Forge High Elf Dragon. I printed it with the solar head. It has a lunar and a solar head option,
cool.
and it's
And for
printable
our
with and
listeners,
without
the
saddle.
solar head is like its horns that looks like a big sunburst. The
Right.
two horns coming together. It's really cool looking.
Yeah. And they all look really cool. And it's printable with and without a saddle. And I
But
printed it with the saddle just in case because I still haven't picked a rider.
is
And
the saddle like a plug-in?
no,
Okay.
the body has like a version of it where it's got like the saddle and like all the straps on it, and
Yeah.
it has a version that doesn't have that.
But does the rider then fit different saddles? Sorry, I'm preempting
You're
your question.
probably getting ahead of the point I'm trying to
Go
make
ahead. Yeah,
here.
go ahead. Go ahead.
But while I was printing this for me, a
Uh-huh.
younger sibling wanted a cool dragon for the orc army, so I printed
Oh yeah.
their orc dragon that they did for their Badlands orc set.
Tell me you have it. I want to see it.
He's in the house. I don't
Oh,
have it
a
handy.
sad panda. That's okay. I
I
think I
know.
saw a little itty bitty picture on my phone.
Yeah, it's cool dragon. Like it's they call it a mall wyvern. It's a it's actually a wyvern, not a dragon. It has this little stingy tail, but it's
Yep.
humongous and it has a gigantic big old mouth,
Yeah, and it's
which is where
very
the mall
chunky
came
orc
from.
vibes.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
goes well with the orkiness.
yeah. And it also has a saddle, and the saddles match, so the riders are interchangeable. So Titan
Oh.
Forge has moved to the interchangeable rider world, which I love, and I got suspicious. And I
Mhm.
had an because Younger sibling was not happy with the orc that came with that one. It's a nice looking orc, but not the
Yep.
vibe that they were going for. They've been printing Artisan Guild orcs, not Artisan Guild. Yeah, Artisan Guild orcs.
Oh, does it work with the Artisan Guild orc?
So I had an orc rider on this dire wolf, like the chieftain with the big axe.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, put my little hobby knife under there and popped him right off.
Yeah.
Fits perfect on the.
So we have a
Titan Forge
secret
back.
compatibility between Artisan Guild
Yes.
and Titan Forge's mounts.
So that cool freaking orc with, like, I don't know if you've seen their Savage Orcs. It's one of their earlier sets. He has like this really cool Warcraft looking orc with it.
I might have it.
Axe out to the side, and it just
I might have that.
so badass.
Yeah.
Love that set. And cool wolf for it to ride and everything. And of course, because it's Artisan Guild, all the mounts and all the riders are completely interchangeable. And now I know they're interchangeable with Titan Forge's mounts.
Yeah.
And then Titan Forge this month just released their High Elf pack with modular High Elves. So finding a rider for this thing just got a lot easier.
Oh yeah. That's cool. And not to mention, I believe there's a pretty cool mounted Artisan Guild High Elf set.
There is.
So you get options.
I have tons of options.
You get options.
Also, the Artisan Guild did a whole bunch of mountable dragons. Like they did 1 month where it was like 6 different freaking dragons that could be mounted.
Yep.
Oh, so my 3 dragon high elf army is like so within reach. I mean, like
Nice.
I'm half tempted to just do that and then just put him on a shelf and paint him up lovely. Because there is one disadvantage about this absolutely gorgeous dragon that Titan Forge put out. How the hell can getting him to and from a game store?
I mean, he's on the bottom of your tray in a big padded.
He's my entire tray. This thing is 13 inches tall.
I mean, yeah. Even my like big Nurgle guys are pretty big. Yeah, that's got to be kind of. I haven't had to deal with this yet. I've just been happily, merrily making all these big, crazy minis. Like the Eldritch Dragon, that would probably be in my Nurgle army too. At least if I was playing OPR. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to transit that. Yeah. At least he's mostly one piece, I think.
Nice.
He doesn't have wings. He just has big tentacles.
Which ties into my other project I've been working on. I've been playing Massive Mystics board game. Very cool game. And we played it stock because we bought it that day on sale at the game store when they were having a weekend sale.
Yep.
We bought it and we brought it and we opened it up and the whole game group played it. It's kind of like our break between campaign arcs game. We do one of those between major campaign arcs. And we're like, we'll play through all 10 missions of Massive Mystics, and then we will move on. And we're having a blast with it. Fantastic game. Love it to death. We're all having a fun time. And it has PVC models, as most board game quality PVC models.
Yeah, I've seen a paint up that you did, I think.
Yeah. And I did a paint up of one of the mousies that I should have had handy and do not. Oh, here it is. I will pull it up on screen here in a moment.
A YouTube viewer who is not in chat has texted me saying you're a little quiet.
I'm a little quiet.
Yeah.
Okay, at this point, I am now maxed out.
Yeah, you are much louder. Hopefully that helps. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, so sorry. And I noticed a couple of things about the game. One is I painted up one of the mice as a test. And the details are so soft because it's PVC. And PVC is not a great way to do this. Because the details are soft and it's very hard to paint. And I kind of see why when you're listening to the other painting focused podcasts like Paint Bravely or Trapped Under Plastic, where they say, ooh, board game minis, ooh. And I'm like, no way can I get away with this. And so I painted up the model to the best of my ability, but it was super challenging because I had to, most of the details you see on this mini are details I had to create because they were not sculpted on him.
There's no slap chop in that.
Yeah. I am a little bit proud of the little muzzle
Yeah.
like putting
Yeah.
the fur texture on the gray muzzle to signal that this is a older miniature.
Mhm.
And then by that I
Cute.
mean the character is old. The
Right,
miniature
right,
is
but
the game's not
also
that old.
kind of a nice little bit of shade at the mini itself.
Um, so I'm very tempted to just, you know what? I have the endless resources of 3D printing available to me,
It's true, it's true.
and the monsters are worse.
Yeah.
And like, I know a sculptor worked really hard to make these great, but PVC just loses detail. It doesn't matter where it started.
Sure, sure. Well, and there's also stuff that's done,
Mhm.
considerations that are made because of injection molds needing to come loose, et cetera, et cetera.
And also, it's a joint effort. I have insidiously begun to spread 3D printing through my gaming group. One of my
Mm.
friends, Chris, we talked about me doing the pumpkin project with him.
Yep, yep.
He went and print one of the most important resources in this game is cheese,
Mm.
because cheese is how you get experience points.
Ah,
hmm It's how you buy new abilities. It's also how you get rerolls and all sorts of fun stuff. So cheese is super important, and you spend cheese to also use your abilities.
gotcha.
But they use little cardboard cheese tokens that look nice, typical board game token stuff.
Sure,
But we
sure,
need a
like
lot of
Catan or
them, and
whatever,
they're not
right?
super easy to handle. So
Mm.
he has 3D printed a whole bunch of little cheese wedges, like 50
Cute.
cheese wedges, and then painted them.
So the real question is there
Mhm.
like a Trivial Pursuit-esque wheel that they all fit into? So you could have like your cheese wheel also?
So there is a wheel of cheese that comes as it's part of the Doom counter. Is like every time that the bad guys would get a cheese token, it goes onto a little clock, and when the
Ah.
wheel fills up, the chapter difficulty goes up, and also
Mm.
it's heading closer and closer to the game over token.
Ah, so like till the
So
cats are loosed on you or something?
yes, yes. We're looking at printing. We tried and failed with one print of a board organizer because it's reached the level of tokens that we want a board organizer, especially now that we've added custom cheese to the mix. I'm kind of thinking I can 3D print all these miniatures and replace them. And so, like, 3D printing has begun to enhance this board game
Upgrading board
drastically.
games next on Print Your Games.
Yes,
I
it's
mean, we've
fun
kind of
too.
talked about it before with the inserts and stuff because there's so many cool options for
hmm
inserts.
hmm
Uh,
And I'm also surprised because this is a fairly popular game. So there's like a ton of support for it out there. It's like
nice.
we have like a smorgasbord to choose from with inserts.
We have a whole bunch of cheesy puns in chat. By the way, we have cutting cheese, we have lactose intolerance,
Mhm.
which I suggest you let go swiftly, Alex. And, cheesy games, vegan cheese, all sorts of cheesiness in the chat.
Lovely. But storing miniatures isn't the only thing I'm dealing with.
Oh,
You have pointed me towards a weird storing miniature thingy.
yeah, yeah.
Tell me about
Um,
this thing and why it excites you.
well, if anybody's been following the show for a while, or just Perram and I generally on social media, we
Mhm,
have talked about there's a little metal rack you can get. They fit really nice in Calyx or other IKEA sort of furniture.
mhm.
And someone has taken that and adapted it to a printable solution. So
Ooh.
this is collect orders, I think. I don't know,
Mhm,
but it's a little modular mini shelf collector thing, and it works very similar to the exact same thing Perram and I have been using on these metal shelves. My question, I think it looks really cool and it's
mhm.
customizable and there you can make them
Right.
so they interlink and you can form factor it however you want. They are specifically, again, I believe those are even Calyx shelves in their promotional picture.
They call out by name
Yeah,
Calyx.
yeah. So like, and there's all sorts of different form factors and slices and need like different ways to work it. So I think it's cool. My question
Mhm,
becomes: is the filament required cheaper than just doing the metal solution? I don't know. I think as a bespoke customizable, I think this is
mhm.
really cool, and I
Yeah,
think that might be enough reason to get it right.
yeah.
Just there.
Also, those shelves don't. None of the shelf options I've run into fit perfectly into a Calyx. They all
Oh,
fit kind of into a
kind of. Yes,
Calyx.
yes. True.
Yeah.
And this is obviously a little bit more specifically exact, right?
Right, right.
Hey,
There's
Blasted
ones
Salmon
I
Flinch.
use that are like $25 a piece,
Yeah.
and that are about the same size as these. And there's ones that I use that are like $30 a piece that are from IKEA, and they're
Hmm.
white and they're better.
Oh,
but they're
I don't think I've
also
seen this
not available
regularly.
because they have they have solid sheet metal for their shelves, their letter shelves.
Yeah.
So instead of the little hole grates, so the minis stick a lot better to them if magnetized. I'm
So are
also
they
noticing these
using
shelves are not
plexiglass?
magnetized.
Yeah, that's true. Which I actually is one of the bigger features. And again, I got
Mhm.
that actually from you. Before
Oh,
we start doing this
they
show, I think.
immediately then show putting magnetic sheets onto the shelves. That's my next
Right,
picture
right.
scroll.
But it's not native, obviously,
Right.
because you
You
don't
can
print
order
magnet
them. You can
sheets.
order
Yes.
bag trays from them as part of the
Oh,
Kickstarter.
interesting. Interesting. So it looks like
Mhm.
it's an expandable marketing solution. Interesting. Anyway,
Mm.
but I think it's cool, and I thought some people might use it. It looks like you might also be able to order them pre-printed as well.
Yeah, this looks like it's. Are you sure this is a 3D printed thing?
There was STLs for it. I swear to heavens. But anyway, um, up at the top, no. Anywho, if I have steered us wrong, I apologize about that.
They appear to not have STLs.
I swear to God,
We
there
might
was.
we might be wrong. This might not be 3D printed at all. This might just be cool freaking shelves.
Well, then if I have steered us incorrectly, I apologize.
Well, the price seems to be about the same as one is $45. Never mind.
Anywho,
Okay, cool shelves.
cool shelves. Check them out if you're into storage solutions, storage porn.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say that probably, huh? Anywho, moving on.
Oh, might as well, since we're talking about Kickstarter, let's continue the discussion we had from last time.
Yep.
Elegoo's big, gigantic room printer.
Yes. Yes.
We now have all the details because they've launched the Kickstarter for the Elegoo Orange Storm Giga. This is not following their normal naming convention at all.
Well, it's just so big.
Mhm.
Maybe it's the orange dot on Jupiter. Although it would be weird that they made a bigger printer named after a smaller thing. I don't know.
So the Orange Storm Giga is a FDM printer that is massive. That is bigger than us.
Yeah, you can sit in it.
Yeah. Either one of us could easily sit in the middle of this thing.
So I might
And
break it by sitting in it.
I mean, I
Probably
hope
not.
I hope not. The Orange Storm Giga has a print bed of 800 by 800 by 1000 millimeters and a retail price of $1,500. We now have more info about it. It's got Clipper, so it's capable of very fast printing, which is
Nice.
good if you're going to be printing big. Has multi-nozzle printing support, which is something David pointed out to me before,
No.
where it will basically you hook up multiple nozzles at the same time to the printer, spaced out, and then it divides the giant bed into multiple smaller beds and prints multiple copies of whatever object you want simultaneously. So if you
Hmm.
were using this for rapid, like, actual production line printing, this suddenly has another practical benefit. They showed it printing up to 8 copies of an object simultaneously.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
cool. It's
Capable of
it's
300 millimeters a second printing, which
I
is
still
6 times
feel
faster than
like
mine.
you know how I am. It's
Mhm.
FDM. It terrifies me. I feel like I would just come in and see so much spaghetti.
I mean, especially with this printer, because this would be so much spaghetti, you could drown in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And boy, that would be an expensive mistake. You'd need one of those chipper things where you can melt it back into filament
Mhm.
in case.
Has a heated bed that's divided into different sections that heat independently, which is
Ooh.
probably the only way to pull this off,
Yeah,
but has side
honestly.
benefits.
Well, I think I've pointed out before that the inconsistencies in the heating, even on my Mega X, sometimes can cause fails because it gets weirdly cool in spots.
The other thing it's got going for it is that its interface is a 7-inch tablet that you can pull off the machine
Oh,
and then just hold in your hand as you stand next to it, because there is no way this is going on a table. This is going on the floor somewhere.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
The Anycubic Giga, holy goodness. I think that this is exciting because it's the first massive scale printer available at a hobbyist footprint. And they show the multi printing, they show like printing terrain with it, because that's of course like some of the most obvious things you would use this for. Um, it's got like really good build quality that they're bragging about. It's got like clipper and all the adjustments. It's got nice little multifunctioning belt. It's got the cool tablet interface. This is like, okay, yeah, this is not the build it yourself in a garage craziness that we've shown off a little bit on this show to get the giant size printers. They're also introducing their 5 kilogram rolls of filament at the same time as this printer because you will need them.
Right. I mean, that's gonna just chew up
And then you
filament.
start to see some things they printed, including a doghouse and a scale model of the Capitol building and the entire bridge terrain for gaming. That's one freaking piece. Also, that is
I don't think they printed the child though.
no, but they're what is that? What is that called? That ship? Like I know it has a name specifically, and
Zoom in. I can't quite see. It
it's
looks.
this is a take on the Space Marine ship that cost
Oh,
like $1 billion off of Forge World.
gotcha.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. My Games Workshop is having a tongue tie moment. Originally, there was an early bird price of $1,250, but that is long since gone. And there are several print waves into it at $1,500 as the buy-in. And overall, like we kind of went over our excitement last time. I'm not sure that this is a practical printer for anybody. I'm sure that there are some people that would absolutely find great use out of this printer. I'm sure that I would love to have one.
Oh, sure. I mean, my thought immediately goes to things like people who do
Mhm.
flyable airplanes and stuff like that, like where they're going to need that, like,
Mhm.
huge and the like solidified chassis, right, is really important for those things.
Mhm.
And so I could see some hobbies like that for sure. I mean, it would also be really cool to just print off an entire castle.
Mhm.
That'd be pretty neat.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, like
know,
we talked about at one point in time printing like using the town builder to do like whole dungeon floors, and like
yep,
you could just do the entire dungeon floor for your table
yep.
and print it off as one solid piece.
It would be cool. It's even setting up like a big building in Dungeon in
Mhm.
Town Builder, which I've got like an embarrassing amount of expansions for, by the way,
Mhm.
is time consuming. And I found more and more that I would just go into the community files and just find buildings people already built.
I mean, that's one of the best things about moddable, customizable games. It's like it's one of the things I like about like the work we're doing over at OPR with the Army Forge Builder is the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fan armies that I can. Well, I want to play this weird faction of minis. Well, one of the fans already did all the work for me.
Right. Okay. David Wickham's just mentioned the Organizer Leviathan Kickstarter. I didn't see this. What is it? I'm curious.
I have no idea what that is, but look it up and while we chat.
I am doing so.
I This would also be like right now a lot of the stuff at that level, like the miniature cases and stuff, has to be printed in like chunks. Like we saw that really cool miniature case that looks like a treasure chest that was a little bit ago, and we've seen a few things like that. um a printer this size becomes a practical choice then, because like printing things like cases, like to travel your miniatures in or to hold photography equipment perfectly. You could print an entire, we were talking about board game organizers, you could print an entire board game box custom. Like imagine a Mice and Mystics box that has like embossed mice on it with like
Oh
the
yeah,
logo
yeah.
in 3D, and then like it lifts off and all the stuff is perfectly like there's so much coolness that you can do when you're able to manufacture at this scale.
I'm gonna have to say, David has pointed something cool. It is in fact a mini box for the entire Leviathan set. That's
Oh,
pretty
what?
pretty nifty. It's a 3D printed modular storage and transport solution for wargaming. Hey, maybe you could fit your dragon in this.
Oh,
Um,
one case would hold the dragon.
yeah. I sent you the files, and it looks actually pretty slick. It's better
Mhm.
than it's, it's a better topic than the one I thought I saw. So I like
Because
it.
it's actually files this time.
Yes, it's only 4 days left though. Yikes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's a very similar concept, but this time portable. So it's
Yeah.
just a slotted case
Yeah.
that has different inserts. I see magnetized inserts. I see the little slot inserts that hold the bases that have the angle. I see a little case at the bottom to hold 3D stuff. Yeah. This is a very cool concept. This is I've seen a few of these. The rubber band tray. That's a neat idea.
Hmm,
Yep.
that is fun.
Yeah, this is very cool. This
How
is very
much is the
cool.
back? I'm just
But
curious how much it
again,
is.
to print something like this, you would
Mhm.
need to print it in you can see with the print itself, though, it's divided into 10-inch by 10-inch sections because that's the size of your average FDM printer.
Yep.
Whereas with this thing, you could print the whole
Whole
freaking
thing,
case at
yeah.
the same time,
And just
pre-assembled.
for quick info, 33 for the base case, 47 to include the stretch goals. I think it's interesting that the stretch goal inclusion is a higher price point. That's fascinating. And then $235 if you want to be able to sell them yourself.
A little
For,
slot on the side to hold the rule books.
I mean, that's pretty
This
cool.
this one's very clever.
Yeah,
Very
I like it.
nice.
David, thank you. Only takes 25 pounds. No, it's great. Two and a half spools to print, he says.
Oh, I have 5 spools in a box sitting in my storage right now that I was wondering what I was going to do with them. Oh, I like this, like a folding table attachment. That's a
I mean,
clever idea.
honestly, seems like a good thing to pair with that the painting case, right? Just take this in your painting case, and you can even like have a little station where you're working on your minis.
Mhm.
If you had to, like, I don't know, be in a hotel room frantically painting an entire army before you demoed it the next day, for instance, it might be a good thing to have.
I mean, yeah, it's not like I'm going to be at Adepticon or anything. So. Oh, my travel plans have drastically expanded lately.
Yeah, I just need to, find my sponsor to like take me to these events. That's what I need.
Oh my gosh, my dude! You know it's not like that. Like,
Oh, well,
here's
you're
a
working.
fair
I
warning.
get you're working. I get
Yeah,
you're working.
I am working my butt off. I am exhausted and in pain at the end of these days.
Well, I understand. I was trying not to say another less flattering relationship between me and another entity, which,
Well, moving on and forward.
and another Kickstarter, maybe.
Another Kickstarter. Really? What's this next
And
one?
this one's definitely printer oriented.
Uh-huh.
But it's in that bailiwick that terrifies me. Modding your
Uh-huh.
printer. There is a Kickstarter for turning your printer into a multiple filament printer called the CoPrint Chroma Set.
So this one is super kind of interesting. I dig it in the concept stage because we've seen a lot of printers coming out, like the Bamboo Labs, and it has been like really specializing in like multicolor printing, and
Yep.
they have like a add-on for their printers that makes them multicolor, and all their printers are set up to handle this. But most printers aren't.
Right.
Most printers aren't, and it's been a user hack for a while. In the modding out your enders and homemade printers and making them multicolor filament, that's been a thing for a while.
Sure,
There's
sure.
been
But
some very expensive printers,
even the 2 filament multi extruders, I was out, because it just looked too complicated for me. But this is a whole nother level.
So this is like a really clever. It's got clipper built into it, with a multi extruder that replaces the extruder on your printer, and then all the accessories you need to turn they have like a list of supported printers, which is a very broad list of most of the popular brands. So odds are your printer is upgradable.
Mm-hmm. But of course, check the Kickstarter to see that we at Printer Games do not
Yes,
take
indeed.
liability for.
I said odds are.
Odds are, yes.
That's a qualifying statement. And
But
it looks really well put together, and it
Yeah.
turns your thing into, it not only makes it multicolor, but it then adds, if you don't have clipper, it adds clipper for input shaping to get very high speeds. So even if like I've been talking about my Neptune 3, thinking about upgrading it to a Neptune 4 just so I can get clipper. And if I wanted to, I could buy this kit and achieve that and multicolor at the same time without upgrading to the Neptune 4.
Indeed.
But this is where the word "but" comes in.
Mm-hmm.
The word "but" is
price point, probably.
The price point.
Yeah.
If you want to get in at the one that adds clipper and multicolor, you need the clipper, period. So either your printer has clipper and then you get the KCM set, which is 406 US dollar dues,
Yeah.
or you get the one that adds clipper to your printer for $457 dues.
I mean, we're still just in the couple Leviathan box sets range, right?
I know, but that's like 3 Neptune 4s. So
Sure, fair enough. Fair enough.
yeah. So like this is a very cool project, and I don't know who it's for. It looks like it has funded though, hasn't it?
I do believe so.
Yeah. So like good on them. Yeah, it's way funded. $300,000 out of 12,000. It's a neat concept, and also like assuming they keep this updated, it does mean that like it's a kit. Once you have it, you can then take it with you from printer to printer because now the feature set is independent of your printer.
Right, right.
So that's a very cool thing, and it opens up some possibilities. Like there's not a ton of multicolor support for like max size printers. What I mean by that are like the ones that are 20 inches by 20 inches build volumes, which is very nice, but not quite. You can sit in it. You could get like a Neptune 4 Max, it has clipper, so you wouldn't need the clipper. You grab the $400 add-on, and suddenly you're able to print gigantic things and cosplay pieces in full color. That is a very practical application.
Yep.
But boy, is it expensive.
It's
an expensive upgrade.
It is.
It probably is worth it, but like that's at that price point. Then I'm looking at like maybe a K1C, like a Bamboo Labs K1C with the multi-thread add-on, because then it's all in one. I am worried about. I also am hesitant. Like if you're a gearhead, super into customizing your printer, this is perfect for you.
Well, yeah,
But
and I
I'm
think
not there.
that's that $300,000, right? Obviously, is that like ultra enthusiast, like the same people who are like the day they get it, they replace the hothead.
Oh my gosh, of course.
I literally saw that. I was like, hey, I'm setting up my Mega X and and someone said you need to do the following things. I was like, you want me to basically buy a second printer and replace it all? Okay. No.
When I bought my Ender 3, that was what it was like. It was like a giant list of messages I got from various fans, like with like giant replacement part lists. And ultimately, it scared me off FDM printing for a little while after I tried to do it. And like, I know, very lame, very lame. I needed to be a better 3D printer than that. But I like it. I like the hobby of 3D printing, and I like the hobby of sculpting and customizing and kit bashing.
Right.
My hobby fun is not building my own printers.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's kind of a double-edged sword because like when I think FDM, I think terrain, and my other big crafting hobby is handcrafting terrain out of foam core and stuff. So like I'm like it becomes this question because I have proven to myself I can design and cut foam faster than I can get an FDM print job done. So there's a weird question of like detail really is what I want. Like if I want like I did a gate from, I want to say it was from Cripple God Foundry actually, and it was a functional dwarven gate that like pulls open and stuff and does all this cool stuff, and it was really fun to print that off and paint it up, and it looks neat. But like if I don't need a functional door, and actually I've actually even made some foam core functional doors too, but if I don't need it and I don't need that level of detail, then I can bust out a foam core piece really fast. So and they're big, you can do big fast, but it's the detail that I can't really match. But we got other stuff still. Speaking of stuff that surprised me, you sent me a link from BlizzCon.
Yeah, so there's a new game out in the Warcraft universe called Warcraft Rumble. It's a fun little action-y game, mobile-ish game.
So it's like a phone game or a tablet game, right?
Yeah. I think you can play it on PC too, but it's like I'm really not sure how the game plays. I saw my sibling playing it today, and I was like, it looked a lot like Teamfight Tactics, but evidently I was wrong in my assumption when I said so.
Okay.
So I'm not really sure how the game plays, but it looked fun. Lots of little Warcraft characters were beating the crap out of each other.
Yeah, it looked like to me when I was looking at it, it looked like a slightly more kid-friendly Warcraft. version.
And so, one of the things that surprised me is with the launch of the game, they decided to release the character models for the game as 3D printable files released under Creative Commons.
This blows me away, people.
This does. So, like, tons of famous, like, if you're a fan of any of the Warcraft stuff, like Jaina Proudmoore's here, Tyrion Fordring's here, like just generic Worgen and Griffin Riders, Maeve Shadow Songs here. The really cool freaking Harvest Golems are here. A bunch of spell effect
Yes,
icons.
so you knew what I was excited about the second I saw it. I was like, there's spell effects and they're free. What? And there's a lot of them. Now,
Cairn Bloodhoof. There's Gromash Hellscream.
There is something I was a little questioning about, though, and you're going to have to help me on this. A lot of these don't look like physically possible.
I think they are.
I'm curious because, like, even like those ice shards, like, what is there a support there? What's happening? Like the physics. I'm gonna have to dig into this because
you're gonna have to get a flat base and then
right. Oh my gosh, they have the Scarlet Citadel girl.
They have Onyxia. The dragon is here.
Oh no, it's the Scarlet Citadel girl.
Inquisitor Whitemane.
I have killed Whitemane so many times.
Yeah.
And I suspect many a D&D player would love to kill her again.
They've got the kobolds with the candles on their heads.
No take candle. Yeah. Oh boy, the scars. I played so much WoW back in the day, so much. But yeah, that's cool. And like again, just the idea that this is just something
cartoony. But you can't hear me, can you?
I hear a crackle suddenly. It's very distorted. I don't know what's up.
Thumbs up if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay.
But I
can't hear you.
Crackling.
All right. Stall.
I'm going to stall. Well, I'm just going to talk about the fact that this stuff looks super cool and it's free. And I've never seen Blizzard just hand out something like this. This used to be like, do a quest, do a thing, spend $19.95, and here you can have the thing. But here we instead have like all this stuff for free. And you know, despite the chibi and cuteness and fun cartooniness of it all, the spell effects you could easily paint up to fit with nearly any style of game.
Yeah. And they also be really great little tokens for any game too.
Oh yeah. I mean, just like even board games, like we were saying, upgrading the board game thing. Like, how many times have you had like a lightning or a fire marker, right?
Deep breath, a dragon's breath token.
Yeah, and there's like little bombs. That almost looks like a little. You could use as a Final Fantasy bomb.
Little dragon eggs with a dragon on top of it. Little baby dragons.
Speaking of which, I have an odd question for you. How do you feel about games that don't need miniatures but still using them for them?
I mean, they're good if there's a good reason to.
So I am exploring Fabula Ultima also, in addition to playing my D&D-ness. And I don't know if you're familiar with this, but that's the TTJRPG.
Yeah, it won the Emmy for best game this year.
Yeah, you're the game of the year, and it is a fantastic little system. It's super, like, for being a much more minimal rule set, it is still incredibly customizable, which I think is super cool. It also requires multi-classing, which of course I adore. Right. But yeah, it doesn't have minis automatically, but there are ways to use them. And I'm just kind of curious if folks like, I don't know. I want
think
them
that
for
miniatures are important for a lot of different reasons, even if they're not immediately obvious. If I remember Fabula Ultima, it does use front rank, back rank as its default way of handling it. Yes. And we've already seen like uses of that in 3D printing, where you 3D print the little ultimate dungeon terrain and divide the circle into front rank, back rank.
Oh yeah.
Or my favorite is close, near, far.
Yeah.
It's a great way to do it, and having miniature tokens to visualize that. Like you don't have to go full. I'm 2.3 inch, and do I make my charge roll? You don't need to go that far with miniatures. They're still very good way to shortcut visualize relative positions on the table. which is often all you need for games. Even if I'm just running front near
Right.
far, I will often throw minis out to just like front rank, back rank, so people know what's happening without having to be like grid by grid tactics.
Yeah, no, I do have players that have a Fantasia. I think I mentioned this before,
Mm-hmm.
and I've just been thinking about for those games where it is kind of like native. It's actually interesting. I talked to the
Mm-hmm.
creator of the game, and he had been testing kind of a grid-based combat expansion pack for it, and he decided to scrap it. And so it's available only on the Patreon if you want it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't find it anywhere else. And he actually won't support it anymore. So that one little
Ouch.
release is all there is and all there will ever be. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just curious because I love my minis, and I'm like,
Yeah.
can I let go of minis for a game? I don't think I
I
can.
mean, you
So it's like,
could, but there's no reason you have to. And
right.
plus, having a little 3D representation of your character that you custom painted is just fun to have at the table.
Well, not to mention, if I'm going for the JRPG vibe, I could get like RNE Studios or like
Mm-hmm.
all those other like things like, and also like if you're bargain bin shopping, you can find some Anima Tactics minis. Those are fantastic. So like I think there's reasons for it for sure. Let's see. Thank you for indulging that random skip.
Yeah, no worries. We're running out of time, so I think it's important to hit the other big-ish news right now,
Mm-hmm.
which is that a lot of the quote unquote early Black Friday sales have already started with 3D printing, and 3D printing loves sales.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the major manufacturers are running big sales right now. Specifically, Anycubic and Elegoo seem to be at like a little knife-off standoff with each other about their particular pre-sale, to the point that their websites are almost carbon copies of each other.
Well, you know what I of course was excited by.
The resin's really cheap right now.
Cheap resin.
And let's break away that as a separate topic. I've noticed that just in general, the pricing of resin has begun to tank. There's
Mm-hmm.
been so much cheap resin. I picked up a lot of Elegoo ABS like for just $20 a bottle before these sales even started.
Yeah.
And Anycubic is running $15 a bottle on
I
some
know.
ABS like right now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
And
cheaper than the Sunloo stuff I think I got.
yeah. And I mean, I think Sunloo's a big part of why, because it's like cheap resin that isn't nonsense.
It's good. It's so much better than that Rich Opto stuff. And I
Right.
actually am almost done with my second case of Sunloo this year.
Wow. Didn't you just get that case a couple of months ago?
That was a few months ago. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's I'm almost done with it.
Okay. I appreciate that you are dedicated to this hobby. You print so much more than I do. Like I had to pull myself back to just printing stuff I'm actually going to paint and use, because
Well,
I
like
was running out of places to store this stuff.
I did mention I have my secondary shelf pile of shame. That's the printed shame pile. Not to mention the massive my miniature, or no, what's it? Miniature market clearance closet.
And I still need to mail you these freaking
I know.
cases of undead.
Yeah, sure.
Do
Sun
you-
they offered a Mars free if you bought enough. I did not hear that. That's cool.
Well, I mean, especially as cheap as Marses are on this sale. Like right now, there's an unbeatable deal right now. If you want to get started in the miniature 3D printing hobby right now, or in resin printing aspect of it, there is the Elegoo Mars 3 is available for $140 USD.
Wow.
And if you go to the Pro with the built-in resin filter, or the air filters, it's only $159, and that is a crazy good printer. Super detailed prints. You will love the models you pull off that printer. It is one of the small original, like is it a 5.2-inch screen?
Yeah. But if you're not doing terrain, you're just doing the minis, that's fine.
How big is the screen? 6.6 inch screen. Okay.
So you're still getting, you're getting huge minis on that for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe not gargantuan always, but
and trust us, even a small printer like that will print faster than you can paint them.
Yeah. Especially if you get excited, because there was a time I was just literally queuing up the next job
Mhm.
when I would go up, I would take off the thing and start curing it, and then start the next print job and just go. And if you do that for a couple weeks,
Mhm.
you are going to be buried in minis.
If you want to kick it up a little bit, the Saturn 8K is back in stock. I did not
Ooh,
think that would happen. I thought that thing would only exist for a little bit of time and then disappear forever, because I'm pretty sure it's just spare parts slapped together into a printer.
nice.
But it's a great combination. It's an 8K screen on a 10-inch bed, which is like everything you want,
Yeah.
mono screen and all that jazz, for 270.
Ooh,
That is
that's
a
pretty good.
that is a bargain for getting into the
How much
hobby.
was your other one? Your other Saturn? Your newer one?
500
500. Okay. So
for the Saturn 3 Ultra.
yeah.
Yep. Mhm. And then there's sales on all their other printers too, but those are the two that sort of jumped out at me.
Yep.
Their resin is down to like $20-ish per bottle.
Still not bad.
Yeah, and then over at Anycubic, the resin is kind of the star of the show, because they've got their resin all the way down to as much as $15 a bottle if you buy enough,
Yep.
and their filament is down to $13 per kilogram
Hmm.
if you buy not that much to
Mhm.
get that print. So this is a great time to stock up. I do warn against stocking up on resin though. Resin does
Yes.
have about a 6-month life on your shelf before it's useless.
It becomes iffy, I would say. I
Mhm.
have I have successfully printed decent little jobs with like about 8, 9 months old
Mhm.
resin, but yeah, it starts to get spotty.
It will not last a year.
Yeah.
So even if you're going to go and quote get a great deal on resin, like don't Costco membership this. It's not going to keep. So
Yeah.
just remember that resin
Unless
is
you are
a perishable
yeah,
product. Filament lasts a long time as long as you keep it in its sealed container.
right, right.
When you
And as
break
long
that
as
seal, you put a timer on it. But until you break that seal, you haven't.
I would just say commit to printing a lot if you're going to need a case.
Yes.
Because I am coming up to very close to that mark on that
Mhm.
last, I think, one bottle left.
Yeah.
Suddenly.
Sunlu is offering a free Mars 3 Pro if you buy enough resin. Well, that's a
Huh.
way to. If you wanted to start a print farm business, this might be a way to. I don't know that, like, if you're getting into this hobby, that's a great way to do it. It's a great way to get a nice second printer, though.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
did
I
enjoy having a smaller second printer when I borrowed my friends for a little while. That did make life a lot easier to be able to run 2 print jobs simultaneously. All
let's see.
right.
Blasted Semifledge says several year-old resins for test prints, and it was okay, but I don't recommend it. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Oof. I would.
I was about to
Yeah.
say my oldest print job
Hmm.
was an Anycubic translucent orange,
Hmm.
and I did it at 13 months, and it printed. But it's
Wow.
also but the translucents are much harder, I feel like, and they're also a little bit more brittle. So I your mileage may vary, but that's my oldest print was with that translucent orange.
Mhm. And with that, I think we've run out of topic, or
Um,
more than that, we've run out of time to responsibly
sure.
introduce new topic.
Yes, yes. Shout out? Anything?
Shout out. Do you have any shout outs?
I'm just gonna throw out that Cripple Gods pre-marketing sign up for their Kickstarter of Blade. What is it? Bladeport, which is their whole big city setup. Very comparable to like it feels like to the stuff that Ian Lovecraft's done with some of the stuff. If you want a second city to go along with your pirate city you just got, if you did that Kickstarter, Bladeport
Hmm.
might be a good
Yes, that
second
was a good
city.
Kickstarter.
Yeah, it looks really. I'm excited to get the files. And also, I believe Ice City 2 is also kicking off too. I just saw, which I believe is also that is Ian Lovecraft, isn't it? Ice
Frost
City,
too. Yeah.
Frost City 2. Sorry,
Mhm.
Frost City 2.
Mhm.
Just kicked off, and I'm like, do I need another Frost City? I don't know, but if you are playing like Frost Grave, right? Obviously,
Mhm.
that seems to be the thing.
Mhm.
Oh, it's by
Frostgrave's a fun game, by the way.
It's
Very fun
actually
game.
by STL Collectibles. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Rafael Moreno. It's not Ian Lovecraft, but still
Mhm.
really cool.
Mhm.
Check it out.
I do not have any shout outs right now. It's a little late, but OPR put out a free Pumpkin King model.
Hmm.
If so, there was lots of free Halloween models out in the world.
Yep.
Go get them before
I'm
they
going to
disappear.
say from the stuff we've been talking about with
Mhm.
industry churn and fatigue and stuff, and then
Mhm.
the creator pull, I have seen a spectacular amount of amazing Halloween minis coming out in November's collections. So, like, if if you are still feeling spooky, go check out like Mini Monster Mayhem. I
Mhm.
feel like I'm a stand for them lately. You know, Snake,
Mhm.
right? Has a massive undead set, and these are
Ooh.
like going to be your showstoppers, right?
Mhm.
Massive undead minotaurs, centaurs, big
Mhm.
like skull serpent things.
Oh
There's a
yeah.
ton of those, and I feel like this was probably the Halloween set that didn't quite make it on time, is what it felt
Mhm.
like to me, but I could be wrong.
I
Um,
remember they did that one set with this like massive skeleton king, like holding people as puppets, and it was creepy as hell. And it's like
yeah,
the perfect campaign ending boss fight.
yep.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of other like Halloween minis kind of rolling in, kind of like, hey, by the way, if you're still interested, here that are showing up a little late. So I'm not surprised if it happened to y'all too. But Pumpkin King sounds cool. Do we have a picture of it? Can we see a picture?
Oh, yeah,
Hmm.
1 second. But while I pull up that picture, if you want to support us at Print Your Games here, one of the best ways you can do that is to like, comment, and subscribe to us on YouTube, or review us on Spotify or iTunes if you listen to us there. And any way to get the word out, if you want to find more about this podcast, you can do so over at printyourgames.com. We're also available on all the socials. And here is the
Pumpkin King.
it's
Oh,
a
yes.
Dullahan. It's a Dullahan
It's a
with the
dual hand.
pumpkin.
Hey, it's a pump. Hey, dual hands are amazing.
And it came out just as we're launching the vampires, so it absolutely can serve as a undead champion on horse.
Very cool. Very cool. Which there is a whole new undead army, by the way. Not to promote your company for you, but it's amazing. You should go check it out. I did notice, by the way, they had some like sunbursts and stuff. So if you're doing the Ixalan Conquistador vampires, they might also double as your army for that. So anyway,
Mhm. Until next time, I'm Jefferson J. Thacker, also known as Perram.
I'm Kristen Sardes, also known as Seventh Mastery, and don't forget to use your screen protector.